So, thanks to this absolute Don here, Big Dick Don, QAnon Shaman, Jacob Quansley, has been acquitted. He has been pardoned, sorry, by Donald Trump, even after he pled guilty. Oh, he gotta love Donald J. Trump, baby. Let's have a little listen what the BBC and Newsnight, we know how lovely and truthful they are, and unpolitically correct. Not. Mr. Quansley, gone.
Entry and disorderly conduct on the Capitol grounds. He pleaded guilty to unlawfully obstructing the certification of the 2020 presidential election. He served 41 months in jail and was released early. I asked him about that day.
If you mean like the law that I broke, I entered the building illegally. If you mean like stopping people from stealing, volunteering to help the police, saying a prayer inside the Senate, singing my shamanic song inside the Senate, stopping people from breaking in once outside the building, and literally like facing an angry mob all by myself, telling everybody they're not going to break in, that also happened that day. It really all depends on what you mean by what I by your question.
Well, how
Even though Quansley got in there, and he had them bloody horns on and his bloody hairy chest out, and he looked like he was some of that Leonardo DiCaprio movie when he fights that bear, the Revenant. And he's screaming. This geezer's a character, man, I tell you. But for me, he sounds like he did. He tried doing quite a lot to prevent trouble. Yes, he entered illegally, but apart from that, what did he do illegal? Sounds like he tried preventing you know, people doing illegal things. Illegality. He's still got 41 months.
how you remember it?
Well, I remember it being a lot different than the mockingbirds in the media have spun it, that's for sure. The chaos and the violence that took place outside the building that day was largely provoked, as far as I remember, by tear gas, concussion grenades, and rubber bullets being shot into a peaceful crowd. It was after all that all hell broke loose. So that usually gets forgotten. And I think that the whole thing has just been mischaracterized in so many ways, that myself included. I mean, people think I'm an insurrectionist or a Republican. I'm a libertarian.
Brilliant.
There's so much distortion because of the media. One of the things I like to say is you don't realize how distorted the media lens actually is until you see your own reflection in it.
Barbarian.
Well, now is your chance to be absolutely clear about this. Are you saying you did not go into that building to try to stop the certification of the accurate 2020 US presidential election result?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I did not go into the building for that reason. And the fact that you still think that I did just shows how distorted the media lens actually is.
On that point,
because that was
Jake,
never my intention.
Jake.
That's never been my intention.
It's mad he's just said that, because in a previous Channel 4 documentary, he said Arizona was rigged 100% and Donald Trump did not lose the election. So why did he go up there then? Look, I'm on his side. I'm a Trump fan. I'm just saying what I've heard him say before. So hopefully he can elaborate.
I'm just literally looking at what you pleaded guilty to. That's what I'm going from. You pleaded guilty to unlawfully obstructing an official proceeding, i.e.,
and
the
didn't the Supreme Court say that? But didn't the Supreme Court just say that that is not a practical application of the law whatsoever, and that the government was bending the law to gain convictions out of people?
Give us your reaction to being pardoned for that day by President Trump.
It feels just like it should.
Go on.
Well, I think that pretty much says it all.
Come
Describe
on.
your emotions when you heard.
Brilliant.
I think I got the news
You
from my
must have
lawyer when
felt
I was at
proud.
the gym. And I walked outside and I screamed freedom at the top of my lungs and then gave a good Native American war cry.
And did you expect him to follow through on what he has promised on a number of occasions through the campaign trail?
Yes.
I expect Donald Trump to be a man of his word like he has been for decades. And that is a track record that we don't have with pretty much any politician in DC for the
It's
most
unique
part.
in that
Very
department.
few have that kind of a record of saying the same things and doing the same things, which are pro-American, for over 30 years.
You wrote on X after you'd heard the news, "Thank you, President Trump. I'm going to buy some mother effing guns." Because presumably now your record has been wiped clean, you are allowed to buy guns again. Is that what you're going to do? Have you gone out and bought them already?
Oh, yeah. Well, I want you to think about something. The mockingbirds in the media and the government demonized me. They made me social pariah. They attached things like QAnon, conspiracy theorist, white supremacist, insurrectionist, racist, homophobe, terrorist. They attached all those labels to my image. And then they imprisoned me for 27 months, 10 and a half behind, in solitary confinement. And then they released me to the public as social pariah without the ability to own a firearm. So I can never really actually bring in a gun to a gunfight. I always have to bring a knife to a gunfight. And you do realize how wrong that is, right?
Jake, you pleaded guilty.
I pleaded guilty. So is this how we do things in England? I say, yes, yes, you can't see, the forest for the trees, my dear.
Why did you plead guilty then?
Have you ever been in solitary confinement before?
Tell me why you pled guilty.
I'm asking you the question, dear. Have you ever been in solitary confinement? The answer is no. Have you ever had the media and the government simultaneously mischaracterizing your involvement in some sort of a politicized travesty that is being used to actually circumvent the law and certify an election that in every way, shape, and form has all the hallmarks of a regime change and corruption? I mean, you've never been in my shoes. You don't want to be in my shoes. You're too afraid to be in my shoes. That's why you're behind the camera that you're behind, and I'm behind the one that I'm behind.
And that's why I'm asking you to give me an insight into why you pleaded guilty.
I just gave it to you. But like I said, you can't see the forest for the trees, my dear.
Explain it to me. Go on.
So he wouldn't a massive bigger sentence.
I am in no way, shape, or form obligated to explain anything to you, especially now.
I believe he pled guilty because I think he got a plea deal. Plead guilty, you get 41 months. Yeah? Don't plead guilty, you could get 10 years. Who knows what they said to him.
What do you mean, especially now? Because you're a free man and you've been part. Well, you were released a little while ago.
Not just that, I've been vindicated more than once, dear. And the BBC has its reputation in the gutter. You guys covered up Jimmy Savile for years. You covered up the rape gangs for years. You guys got the Dorian Gray image right in front of you. You got your own painting right in front of you. I mean, it's
come on.
No offense, it's what you guys deserve as an institution. I don't know if you're one of the people that covered this stuff up, but I mean, you all know what you did over the last several decades. You know who you've been protecting.
I've spent years covering abuse of young women and young men as it happens. But anyway, not long after you...
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
No.
Did you...
You have not been out there screaming about the grooming gangs. The Islamic grooming gangs, about 85% conviction rate of Pakistani males. You are a liar.
Did you cover the rape gangs, or did you help cover that up? Did you cover Jimmy Savile while he was doing all that stuff to those children with special needs?
Jake,
or did you cover the fact that Prince Andrew went to Epstein Island?
Not long after you were jailed, you said you regretted what you did, that you were...
Nailed him on all of that. because you can't answer it.
Wrong for entering the Capitol building. And then when you got out of jail, it sounded like you weren't remorseful or regretful anymore. Where do you stand now?
Same.
Holding on to regret or hatred or anger or depression is bad spiritual hygiene. I regret nothing. You
You would say
understand?
that.
Would you do the same
You would
again?
say
Because
he'd regret nothing.
because I'm a better man because of what I went through. Do you regret things that are hard that you go through but make you a better human being? No, because they made you a better human being. And in all honesty, if you think of my lack of presence there on January 6th, then what you'll find is that January 6th narrative no longer has an Achilles heel. So I was the Achilles heel of the January 6th narrative because the media made me one, because they lied. They lied in mass to billions of people, and then it came back to bite them in the ass.
What did they lie about, and how's it come back to bite them in the ass?
Lord, if you can't read the writing on the wall, dear,
Oh
there's
my
nothing I
day.
can do to help you.
I mean, come on. Why has Donald Trump pardoned almost all of them, man? If something nefarious didn't go on, he was a political prisoner who was put in solitary confinement for entering a government building. Is that right? I don't come from America. I don't live in America. I've only visited. Great, great country. But they've got some crazy laws there. But here in the UK, Tommy Robinson, he's in solitary confinement. He's a political prisoner. They say he's not, but he is. They would have said Jacob Quansley. He's not a political prisoner, but he was. So same shit. The left, the left wing neocons. I believe Keir Starmer is a Blairite. I believe Tony Blair has got Keir Starmer's ear. I believe Keir Starmer blows smoke up Tony Blair's asshole. Oh, Tony, what do you think of this decision, Tony? What do you think of that? Oh, Tony. How's Cheryl? We should go out for dinner, have some posh meal in Mayfair one night on the taxpayer. Scumbags, a lot of them.
Jake, I'm asking you.
Oh, and I'm telling you.
Do you love? He's
Can you
told
dig what I'm
you.
saying?
Aren't
You
you
can't figure this
listening?
out on your own. There's nothing I can do to help you, dear.
Donald Trump.
Because I can't. There's nothing I'll be able to
Donald
say
Trump's
to
a
you. Do you
fucking
understand?
legend.
Like you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. You can lead a person to knowledge, but you can't make him think. I'm leading you to the knowledge, but I mean, it's up to you to think about it.
Donald Trump
I
called
like
you,
this guy.
all those who were convicted
But
after
he's a
January the
man I like
6th,
a
called
little
you
bit more.
unbelievable patriots. I wonder if you also support the pardoning of those who were convicted alongside you, but who attacked police officers, for example.
Well, if they served their time, if they were in prison at the time, then they did their time, they did their sentence. I leave it to the president's discretion. In all honesty, he's the one that has the Department of Justice and the files at his disposal. He's the one that has the large legal team. I don't have any of that stuff. I trust his judgment way more than I trust the judgment of people like Merrick Garland or Joe Biden.
I wonder what you would think if people had tried to stop the certification of Trump's win this time around.
I didn't try to stop the certification. That's the thing you people just don't seem to understand.
I wasn't necessarily saying you did.
Stopping the certification.
I wasn't necessarily saying you did. I was just asking a broader question.
But stopping the certification was not in the best interest of any Trump supporter. We wanted there to be a debate. It was in the best interest of the deep state. That's why I believe they staged the whole thing to begin with.
What would
but, you know, in all honesty, that's about all the time I have.
They reckon that they put agitators in amongst Quansley, like state officials. I don't know if it was Secret Service or FBI, I think. and hopefully Cash Patel can get to the bottom of it. The new FBI director appointed by Donald Trump.
Have, my dear. So I'm
Would
gonna
you
have to
do it
let you
again?
go.
Would you do it
Mr.
again, Jake?
Quansley.
What kind of question is that? Do you mean like if I had the knowledge that I have now, would I go back and do the whole thing all over again? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yes, is
Yes.
that it?
Yes.
If I had the knowledge I have now and I could go back, I would try to stop the whole thing from happening. I'd go down to the Capitol before Trump was even on freaking stage, and I would hold sacred space. I would say a prayer. I would get everybody focused on God and God alone and not easily provoked.
Thank you very much for talking to Newsnight, Jake. We appreciate your time.
God
Well
bless.
said, Jake. What a man. What a man. He is a truly highly intelligent individual. He did some serious bird, and Donald Trump has pardoned them right correctly, in my opinion. And he's pardoned a lot more. I'm not quite sure how many he's pardoned, but I will do a little segment on the January 6th pardoners. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that because I did. That was fantastic.